You are Locked On Giants Postcast, part of Locked On Sports San Francisco on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Yo, what's up, everyone, and welcome back to the Locked On Giants Postcast. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel. You may know me as the former producer for the Murph and Mac Morning Show on KMBR. And the Giants today, they finally did it. They finally freaking did it, man. After so many trials and tribulations, they are finally back to 500 with their 4-1 win today over the Washington Nationals. Logan Webb spun 5.2 innings of one-run ball, while Fitz and Chappie each launched a home run to lift the Giants over the Nationals. Feels like the same exact thing I've been saying at the top of the show every day lately about this team. With the win, the Giants are not only back to 500, but they are now 8-2 in their last 10, a nice rebound after falling flat out of the All-Star break. We'll break it all down, but first, I want to thank you all for watching us on the Locked On Sports San Francisco YouTube channel. Please, if you aren't already subscribed, hit that subscribe button right now. Thanks also for listening on the Locked On Giants podcast feed. However you get the show, we appreciate you tuning in, and make sure to check out the Locked On Giants Daily Show for more in-depth coverage. Ben Kaspick does a great job. This episode is brought to you by PrizePicks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnMLB and use code all lowercase LockedOnMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. Giants got it going right out of the gates on this one. Tyler Fitzgerald launched another bomb. I mean, the 12th of his season, is 11th in his last 17 games. First leadoff home run of his career was on a sinker that was low and middle in. And this guy, we said it on the last show, he's been hitting all types of pitches all over the zone. Doesn't matter if he's seeing fastballs, sliders, sinkers, curves, does not matter. Tyler Fitzgerald is seeing everything and hitting everything. And we haven't seen a type of home run production over a stretch like this since literally Barry Bonds back in 2003. This is insane what Tyler Fitzgerald has been able to do for the Giants lately. The Giants are, rolling as he has been rolling. I mean, their record in games where Fitz has been on this streak is a lot better than it has been the rest of the season. And like I said, over the last 10, they're 8-2. It was a rough start out in Colorado, and then going to the Dodgers out of the All-Star break. But the Giants have absolutely turned around what they've been doing since then, and they faced some not great competition over that stretch. We can't sugarcoat that. They've beat up on some bad teams, but that's something that they weren't able to do earlier in this season. Beating teams that should beat on paper is something that the Giants haven't done a lot this year, and them being able to turn that corner and start to beat the teams definitively that they should be able to beat on paper when you compare the two rosters, that's a good sign for this Giants team. They look a lot better right now than they have at a lot of other points this season. The starting pitching looks really, really good, man. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and get on the soapbox and say the same thing Farhan said about this being the best pitching staff in baseball. It has the potential to be that. I will say that. I don't know if it's that right now, though. I mean, you have the potential to run into some big games with your Robbie Rays and your Kyle Harrisons, guys that like to pitch up in the zone a lot with that high fastball, can get caught for some home runs. It's playing with fire sometimes, but top to bottom, this very well could be a rotation that is in the mix for that title. Point being, they need this offense to continue to hit, and they've been living and dying by the home run. We've said that. We went into that a lot in the last show we did last night. But again, that's exactly what happened with the Giants today. All of their runs tonight coming via the long ball. Matt Chapman also got in on the mix as it has been lately. I mean, it's been Fitzgerald and Chapman at the dish, and everyone else just kind of doing a whole lot of nothing. But these two have really propelled this team offensively the last couple weeks, and it's going as they go right now. As I said, Fitzgerald led off this game with a solo bomb. Then in the third inning, the top of the third, Yaz, a leadoff double. He's been hitting balls in the gap pretty consistently lately. It's good to see Mike Yastrzemski coming around at the dish. Michael Conforto then drew a walk, put two runners on ahead of Matt Chapman, and he launched a 3-run bomb. Giants lead 4-0, and that ball was absolutely hammered. If it was fair, it was gone, and it was fair, and it was gone. His 18th of the season, 409 feet, 108 miles an hour off the bat. Matt Chapman is just as hot as Tyler Fitzgerald is right now. It seems like every night this guy has an extra base hit of some sort, and it couldn't come at a better time. His 18th home run of the season. He's got more this year than he did last year. And the offensive production was something that Giants fans questioned a lot coming into this season, whether or not Chapman would be able to contribute what he did earlier in his career. And I mean, he did battle some injuries last year, and he clearly has been delivering offensively for the Giants, especially lately. If he keeps going on a tear like this, honestly, if he keeps this up through the rest of the season, this is going to sound crazy, but it would not surprise me to see Matt Chapman get some, I mean, very, very, very distant MVP votes. I'm not saying he's in the conversation to win it at all. That's not what I'm saying. But you gotta rank your MVP vote like 1 through 10. I think Chapman might be able to sneak in towards the bottom of that MVP voting. He's having that kind of a season. He's been so good for the Giants defensively. His advanced metrics say he's taken a little bit of a step back this year defensively. But if you watch the Giants games, the plays that he makes that are just do or die and in huge situations, like yesterday, that Ellie De La Cruz ground ball, or it wasn't an Ellie De La Cruz ground ball. Ellie De La Cruz was at third base. There was a ground ball to Chapman, and he somehow was able to get the out at first, even though it was a slow roller. He had to barehand it, just rifle over the bag, and he got the out to save that run. And there's a lot of plays that Chapman has made like that this season. He's been so solid at third base, and he's been really solid at the dish as well, especially lately. As I said, his 18th home run of the season. He's now got more than he had all of last year. It's only August 5th. He's got plenty of time to add to this number, and I'm sure he will. So that gave the Giants a 4-0 lead, that 3-run bomb, and that was more than enough for Logan Webb and this pitching staff today. Logan Webb was awesome. And then he got a little bit shaky as he continued laboring on in this one. The fourth inning is really where he had a hiccup and started to throw a lot of pitches. Took him about 30 to get through that one inning of work. It was about the same amount of pitches it took to get through the first 3 prior innings combined. Webb walked a guy. He had some runners on base and allowed a stand-up steal of second base because he took so long to get the ball out of his hand, delivering it to the plate out of the stretch. But he came back to get a strikeout for the second out of the inning after giving up that free 180 feet. Then he walks Wood and puts another free 90, gives another free 90, puts another runner on base for free. And it took a lot of pitches to get him out of that inning, but he finally pitched around it, got out of it with no damage done. Something Webby has done really good all year, pitching with runners on base, pitching around contact, pitching around walks. I mean, Webb has been really solid for the vast majority of this year. He did hit a little bit of a speed bump a couple weeks ago, right around the All-Star break, but he's been obviously incredibly good, not just today, but in his last start as well, when he went a complete 9-inning shutout. And then you add this on today, 5 2/3 of 1-run ball. I'll take that. I mean, Webb's got 14 and 2/3 innings of 1 run given up in his last 2 starts. That's ace stuff. That's what we've come to expect from Logan Webb. And that's just what he's been doing all day long. The Giants, then, the rest of the game, offensively, I mean, it's the same issues that they've had. Can't hit with runners in scoring position. In the 5th inning, led off the inning with a Tyler Fitzgerald single. Mark Canha then singled and put Fitz at third base. Michael Conforto up with 1 out and runners at the corners and grounds into a double play, a little dribbler right back to the pitcher's mound. Not what you want to see, especially because Michael Conforto has major ownage against Patrick Corbin in his career. I mean, he saw him a lot during his time with the New York Mets. And Patrick Corbin, I mean, credit this guy. He's, he goes out there every 5 days for the Nationals and he throws a ball at the plate and it gets hit around a lot. And he goes out there every 5 days and continues to do it. And he just continues to get beat up. He's got a terrible ERA. And his outing before this one, dude gave up 11 runs in 3 innings. So, I mean, Patrick Corbin is often left out there to just eat innings as a sacrificial lamb for the Washington Nationals, and his ERA reflects poorly because of such. And I mean, as I said, Conforto, he's got 12 hits career against Patrick Corbin in 34 at-bats. I mean, that's a batting average of .353. He's got 5 home runs in those 12 hits. So I was really hoping to see something from Conforto today against Corbin. He did deliver later on in this one. Conforto did pick up a double, his 1 hit of the day. It didn't score anybody, but that double was pretty good. He did score also after he drew a walk on that on right before Matt Chapman hit that bomb. But later on in this game, we'll get to it in the bottom of the sixth. We'll get to what the Giants failed to do later on in this one. After the bottom of the sixth, 2-out walk, Webby gave up a walk to Ruiz, and then a balk lets him take second base. James Wood then singles, scores a run. Giants still lead though 4-1. Then Blankenhorn came up and singled and puts runners at the corners. At that point, they pulled Webb from the game. 95 pitches for Webby on the outing, and it was time for him to go and sit down, because after his last outing, his last complete game, I mean, they could have pushed Webb to get through this inning, and he definitely could have. But you don't need to push a guy like that coming off of a 100+ pitch outing where he went 9 innings, and let Webby take a break. This bullpen is very well rested. Let them go out there and do their job. And that's what they did today. The bullpen was also really, really, really solid. Ryan Walker came in that inning, got out of it, got the last out to escape without any more damage done. And Logan Webb, his final stat line was really nice. 5 2/3 innings pitched, 4 hits, only 1 run. He did give up 3 walks, but he had 4 strikeouts. That ERA drops down to 3.42. And Webby is really peaking at the perfect time of the season for the Giants. I mean, this is when they really need him to carry this team, put it on his back, not just him, but the entire starting pitching staff, because the bullpen can't do it very much longer the way that they were in the middle of this season. This offense is too inconsistent to carry the team. The one group that can do it is this starting pitching staff, and they have been doing it lately. They got to just keep on doing it, and the bullpen is only going to benefit from this. Today, the bullpen gave up exactly 2 hits and no runs and no walks. I mean, amazing stuff by the bullpen. Camilo Dval, by the way, in that 9th inning, 3 batters faced, 3 batters sat down, all by way of the strikeout, and that slider looked nasty, man. But before we got there, Tyler Rogers and Taylor Rogers combined to get us through the middle of the innings, the middle of the end of the game, the middle of the end. You know what I mean? Like the 8th innings, the 7th, 8th innings. 7th inning was handled by Ryan Walker. There was a weird moment in that 7th inning where he hit Vargas, and that should not have been a hit by pitch. First of all, dude's not even in the batter's box anymore. His back foot that he brought forward to square around to bunt was not inside the batter's box. He almost stepped on home plate when he squared around to bunt, and that ball would not have hit him if he was standing actually inside the box. So that's the first issue. The second issue is he didn't even pull the bat back. Dude left it out in the zone and actually pushed the bat through the zone as the ball hit him on the foot/shin. And I mean, that's a strike. I feel bad that the guy got hit by like a 90-mile-an-hour slider in the shin. That's got to hurt, but that's a strike. That's not a hit by pitch. Like, we can't be giving people free bases just because they look like you got an owie out there. I mean, come on. What was that? I'm baffled, man. I'm baffled. If that's not leaning into a pitch, then I don't really know what is. I really don't. I mean, you just hang the leg out there as close to the plate as you can get it without actually stepping on home plate. And you don't even pull the bat back when you're leaving it out to square to bunt. I don't understand how that was not like an offer at that pitch. It made 0 sense to me, but it didn't matter. No runs scored in the inning anyways. Just a very weird moment in this game. Then in the 8th inning, Tyler Rogers comes in, and bottom of the 8th inning, Tyler Rogers comes in. Nationals get runners at 2nd and 3rd with nobody out, and Tyler Rogers bounces back with back-to-back strikeouts with runners on 2nd and 3rd, and then yields to Taylor Rogers. We got a Rogers Twins inning in the 8th. Taylor shuts it down, gets that last out of the 8th inning, and it wouldn't have been still a 4-1 lead. It could have been a lot easier for the Giants at the end of this one, but in the top of the 8th, just before that bottom half of the frame, the Giants did the same thing the Nationals did. They had runners at 2nd and 3rd with nobody out after a Lamont Wade Jr. single and a Michael Conforto double that he laced into left field, went the opposite way with it. A nice piece of hitting by Conforto. He has been a lot better. I've been really critical of Michael Conforto on this podcast, and I think rightfully so. He's a guy who the Giants have billed to us as, their big middle of the order bat for the last couple of years, and he has really failed in that role. He has been Mike Yastrzemski, and this is the guy that we got in place of kind of having a lot of dudes like Michael Yastrzemski in playing. We got Michael Conforto to replace Mike Yastrzemski as that kind of middle of the order, air quotes, power bat, which both of them have been very lackluster. But we've had a lot of guys like that bat around 240 and have maybe like 15 to 20 home runs a year on a good year. And just, it's not what you want with like 80 to 85 RBIs. Like, that's not a middle of the order big bat that's going to really change things for the Giants. You can go get a bunch of guys like that out there at pretty much any point in time at the season. Shout out Mark Canha, who the Giants just picked up at the trade deadline for, not a lot. And there guys like that aren't that uncommon in Major League Baseball is the point I'm saying. Michael Conforto was billed to us as a guy who wasn't going to be just like all these other ones that we've had, and he has not been that in his time with the Giants. But like I said, he has been hitting well as of late. Last night, he played pretty well. Today, he does it again, another extra base hit, and he's been producing a lot of doubles lately. So shout out Michael Conforto for getting back to playing some solid baseball and using the opposite field. However, after the Giants did all that, got runners at second and third with nobody out, can't drive them in. It's the same thing the Giants have done all year long, just absolutely horrible with runners in scoring position. 2 rounders to short that were essentially warm-up ground balls, and that shortstop was playing close, so he wasn't all the way in, wasn't touching the grass, but he was playing about, he was playing up for sure. So the Giants weren't able to score on either of those balls. Then Encarnacion strikes out. Just a terrible, terrible end to that top of the 8th for the Giants. But as I said, the Rogers twins get us through the bottom of the 8th, get us to Camilo Dval in the bottom of the 9th. And Dval really had that slider working tonight, man. This is the best that I have seen Camilo Dval pitch in a long time, and that is a really, really, really good thing to see. I think that as this continues to go, as there's not as much pressure on the bullpen, that will not only help the middle of the bullpen staff, like the guys who are eating the bulk of these innings, but it will help Camilo Dval as well. I think it's just a confidence thing with him. I think that when all that pressure is on the bullpen, Camilo Dval kind of thinks of himself as like the leader of that pen in a lot of ways, maybe not the vocal leader, but definitely out there on the mound. That like he is the most skilled guy out of that bullpen, and he takes it upon himself to lead by example. And that hasn't been what the case has been lately. And when the bullpen is leaned on the way that it was earlier this season to go out there every single day, pitch a bulk of the innings and win the game essentially because they didn't have very many starting pitchers, I think that put a lot of pressure on just the bullpen in general, and thus even more on Camilo Dval. Even though he's not the guy eating those innings, I think he still was shouldering some of that weight. I think the starting pitching staff getting better means that Camilo Dval's life at the back end of this bullpen is also going to be a lot better. We got to take a quick break here. On the other side, more to break down from this game here on the Locked On Giants postcast. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel. Stick with us. We'll be right back. When you're taking in America's primetime, you don't want to, when you're making, let's restart that. When you're taking in America's pastime, don't forget to hydrate with Liquid IV's Popsicle Firecracker flavor, a surefire summer hit. Get hydrated with electrolytes, essential vitamins, and clinically tested nutrients from the #1 powdered hydration brand in America, because baseball and summer go together like Liquid IV and indulgent hydration. I love Liquid IV's great taste, and staying hydrated is essential for my lifestyle. Whether I'm out at Oracle Park on a sunny day or on a backpacking trip on a Giants off day, I gotta make sure I'm staying hydrated. And of course, I prefer to do that with Liquid IV. It's more than just a drink. It's a science-backed way to hydrate better. Tear, pour, and live more. 1 stick plus 16 ounces of water hydrates better than water alone. Powered by LIV Hydroscience, an optimized ratio of electrolytes, essential vitamins, and clinically tested nutrients that turn ordinary water into extraordinary hydration. 3 times the electrolytes of the leading sports drink, 8 essential vitamins and nutrients, always non-GMO, vegan, gluten-free, dairy-free, and soy-free. So, no more thirsty summers when you indulge in hydration with Liquid IV. Get 20% off your first order of Liquid IV when you go to liquidiv.com and use code MLB at checkout. That's 20% off your first order when you shop Better Hydration today using promo code MLB at liquidiv.com. Welcome back to the Locked On Giants postcast. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel. And man, I'm having a tough time with my words today, man. I'm just stumbling all over myself. I'm sorry, guys. I don't know what's going on with me today. I just feel very scattered. But the Giants did not look very scattered today in their 4-1 win over the Washington Nationals. They haven't looked very scattered at all over their last 10 games, as they are 8-2 over their last 10. And they're playing pretty good ball right now, man. Like, this is a very good sign for this Giants team. This pitching staff is really coming around. You get Hayden Birdsong going tomorrow, which, I mean, I don't know if there's a single Giants pitcher that I am more excited to watch right now than Hayden Birdsong. And how much of a luxury is that? That guy is not even, like, we just had a guy throw a complete game shutout. We had another guy throw a no-hitter. And I'm talking about a third dude that I'm more excited to watch than either one of those two guys. And if you listen to the show, you know how much I love Logan Webb. You know that I've been pretty excited about Blake Snell being a Giant, and that I've been waiting for this moment, as all Giants fans have, for him to figure it out in the second half of the season. And he's finally at that point. But the guy that I'm most excited to see right now in the Giants pitching staff every day that he's on the mound is Hayden Birdsong. This kid, as young as he is and with as good of stuff as he is, that 97, 98 mile an hour fastball that's just got crazy movement to it for a four-seamer, the big looping breaking ball. I mean, the changeup that he's been using a lot lately. I mean, he is just awesome to watch. He's so fun on the mound. Just looks like a 12-year-old kid that's ready to kill you out there. And there's just something, I mean, I just love that. I love watching the passion that he plays with and the way that he talks to himself and just is always running at like a 100,000 degrees. That guy is running red hot all the time. And we'll see him tomorrow out in the nation's capital. But today, as I said, the Giants, a 4-1 win over the Washington Nationals. And Logan Webb was pretty good today, man. He got back to using the changeup in that complete game last time out. Today, he did the same thing again. He threw 45 of those changeups, used it almost 50% of the time, used it right at 47% of his pitches. That sinker / two-seam fastball, whatever the hell you want to call that pitch, he used it 33 times or 35% of the time tonight. Also threw that sweeper 12 times, mixed in a four-seamer and one cutter. Logan Webb was doing work with that changeup. I mean, the average exit velo was a little high tonight, 97.3. So that's higher than it has been, but he was generating swings and misses about 30% of the time. He was getting a swing and a miss on that changeup, a lot of swings on it. He got 8 whiffs on 27 swings. Not a lot of contact tonight. Not a lot of missing bats tonight for Logan Webb compared to what he was doing out there last time. But not every night can be a complete game shutout. You know what I mean? So Webby really did a great job on the mound today, navigating all this contact, all these runners on base. And it never really felt like he was in too much trouble except maybe that fourth inning where he was laboring a little bit, but he was able to get through that. I didn't think that he was in any serious trouble then. But in that sixth inning, he did kind of, run into some issues as well. But as I said earlier, I really do think Webby could have navigated his own way out of that if the Giants needed him to. If this bullpen was lingering, if they were laboring or just if they were tired, Logan Webb could have made this game. I think he could have at least finished that inning. Maybe he could have gone another one if they wanted to really stretch out that pitch count. But he could have gotten out of here with about 100 pitches if he faced one more batter in this one and was able to finish him off. Alas, they take him out. Brian Walker finishes that inning off, pitches the next one, no problem. And Logan Webb has been really, really, really solid. Just since this A's game, he's really turned it around. He was having some speed bumps prior to that. He faced the Dodgers in a 4-6 loss in the game before that, where he only lasted 5 innings and gave up 4 runs. In the outing before that in Colorado, he also gave up 4 runs. Outing before that one, he gave up 7. So Logan Webb was in a little bit of a funk prior to that, this 2-game stretch. It's 2 games, we can call it a stretch, right? Yeah, that's all you need. It's 2 games. You got a streak, a stretch, whatever you want to call it. But during these last 2 games, Logan Webb has obviously been back to his regular self. And it's good to see him do that on the road today. The Webby has not been very good on the road. The Giants in Logan Webb games have not fared very well. They've only won 3 games in Logan Webb road starts this year. They were 3-10. This is just their 4th win in a Logan Webb road start. It's his 14th road start, and it gives him a 4-5 record on the road. His ERA is up over 4 still in these road starts, and his batting average against is up around 300. He's pitched more on the road than he has at home, but we're starting to see that kind of level out a bit. And obviously, Oracle Park gives you a innate pitcher's advantage. It is a pitcher's park, and it's your home field. Logan Webb has played very well there in his career, and the Giants play very well there in general at Oracle Park at their home stadium. So Webby doing it again today on the mound. He pitched into contact, and he did it with more groundouts. Again, 7 groundouts to 3 flyouts. This is what we expect from the guy who gets he's in the 95th percentile in ground ball rate in all of Major League Baseball amongst all pitchers. So Logan Webb, another great outing by him. And another great outing by Tyler Fitzgerald and Matt Chapman to cover up a lot of lack of production on the offense, again, by the Giants. They're living and dying by the home run. And right now they're Matthew McConaughey, man, Livin, just living. And we'll break it down on the other side of the Locked On Giants postcast. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel. We'll be right back. Today's episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. PrizePicks is America's #1 fantasy sports app with over 5 million members. PrizePicks is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. It's just you against the numbers. You pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections for a chance to win 100 times your money. With PrizePicks, you could turn $10 into $1,000 while watching Team USA rack up the gold medals this summer. You can make a pick on PrizePicks, a lineup of players all across all sports: basketball, soccer, tennis, golf, and more in as little as 60 seconds. Just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and you're locked in. If you're looking for promotions, PrizePicks has got you covered every week. From lowering select player stat projections on Taco Tuesdays to helping your lineups hit or getting your entry fees back if you have a losing lineup on Fridays. Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. Again, download the PrizePicks app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. It's PrizePicks. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy. Welcome back to the Locked On Giants postcast. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel. Today, the Giants win 4-1 over the Washington Nationals. And I'm going to say it again. I just said it going to break, but I'm going to say it again. The Giants living and dying by the home run. But lately, they're Matthew McConaughey, man. Livin, living. And Tyler Fitzgerald and Matt Chapman are at the heart of this offensive production. I mean, if they don't hit home runs, it seems like this team doesn't win. It just point blank. And I mean, is Tyler Fitzgerald going to continue to hit runs at this pace for the rest of the season? We keep saying no, and he keeps doing it. So, I mean, maybe Tyler Fitzgerald finishes the season with like 35 home runs, becomes the first Giant since Barry Bonds to hit 30 plus. I doubt that's going to happen, but this guy is just on an incredible pace right now. It's insane to watch a kid like this. I mean, obviously, Bonds was, a specimen physically. Tyler Fitzgerald, I don't think you're going to look at that guy and say he's a physical specimen. I mean, he looks a little lanky, a little twiggy out there, but that swing is so sweet. It is so nice the way that bat travels through the zone. That bat path has a little bit of an uppercut to it, and it is just enough to get that home run launch angle, and it just looks so repeatable and smooth, and it's been working for him. And as I said, he's been hitting all sorts of pitches all over the zone. I mean, the home runs will cool down eventually, but I think this guy is proven that he's a big league hitter, because unlike Ramos, and by the way, I got a lot of feedback on last night's show about, me giving Ramos too much grief over his bad performance recently. I am very aware, trust me, I'm very aware that Ramos has a thumb/wrist injury going on. But his issues at bat predate that wrist injury. He jammed it, like Friday? I mean, or in that around that time earlier, late in last week. It was something he was lingering, something that had been lingering from a prior injury as well. But it really got worse after he jammed it at the end of this last week. But this issue that he's had hitting fastballs up in the zone very much so predates that thumb issue and that wrist issue. Obviously, it's going to get a lot harder if your power hand is, not feeling good. You're going to get, it's harder to catch up on those fastballs up in the zone. It's harder to stay on top of them, and it's going to hurt your hand when you're hitting them if your hand is not healthy. I get that. But as I said, his issues predate that injury, and it's been a pitch that's given him issues his whole time up with the big leagues, up with the San Francisco Giants. And that's one thing that Tyler Fitzgerald has not shown. There's not one clear weakness, one clear pitch that this guy can't hit there. He's not being exploited in the same way. I'm not saying Fitzgerald is a better prospect than Ramos. I'm not saying that at all. I think Ramos will figure it out. I'm very high on that guy still. I think he'll be just fine. He's just got to adjust to the adjustments the league has made against him. And that's all I really got to say about that. He was on the bench again today, managing that injured wrist / thumb, whatever you want to say it is. I mean, the Giants, I've heard both from various people in the Giants organization. So, but as I said, Fitzgerald and Chapman as well, if they don't hit bombs, it seems like this Giants team doesn't win games. Thankfully, they've been hitting bombs a lot lately, but we can't ignore what the rest of this team is doing. I mean, 1 for 7 with runners in scoring position again. This team is, I mean, you look at what they did, second and third, nobody out, can't get runners in. Runners at the corners, one out, can't get anybody in. These are things that they need to correct. You might be able to beat the 51-62 Washington Nationals like this. You're not gonna beat good teams without learning how to hit it with runners in scoring position, learning how to manufacture runs in other ways other than just the long ball. This is not a team that is built to sustain a super crazy home run stretch. This is a very lucky streak by the Giants, if I'm being frank. I mean, if you had Tyler Fitzgerald penciled in to go on a Barry Bonds-like run, like a 2003 Barry Bonds-like run at any point in time during the season, then good for you, but I think you might be the only person in the world who guessed that would happen. Tyler Fitzgerald is not someone that you can just like put all your eggs in that one basket and say, go win the game for us, Fitzy. And neither is Matt Chapman for that matter. I mean, Matt Chapman's proven to be a fairly inconsistent guy who does hit the ball really, really hard, but suffers when it comes to batting average and things like that. And you need to have guys that can drive runs in when you have runners on base. It's something the Giants have been terrible at all season long. They strike out a lot in these situations. They're bottom 10 in the league in strikeouts, or I think they're bottom 11 in the league in strikeouts in general this season. And they're bottom 10 in strikeouts with runners in scoring position. It's been bad. These unproductive outs in these situations have got to stop. I don't need them ripping doubles in the gap every time that they got multiple runners on base, but I certainly need them to get the ball out of the damn infield and figure out how to hit a sac fly or two and pad this lead just a little bit so you aren't working on just home runs in living and dying by the long ball. As I said, the Giants are going all, Matthew McConaughey, LIVIN right now, and that's great, but that can take a turn for the worse very, very quickly if this team stops hitting long balls. It was a good win today, 4-1. The Giants, they're rolling right now, 8-2, and they got good things going because they are back to 500 for the first time since June 1st was the last day that they woke up with a 500 record. So tomorrow, August 6th, you get to wake back up. It's a new season for the Giants. Just keep winning, man. Just keep winning and beating up on these teams that you're supposed to beat. The Washington Nationals, you got 3 more games against them. I need at least 2 more wins. I really do. I need the Giants to win every single series against a team like the Washington Nationals and like a sub 500, just meh team. I need them to go in and beat up on those teams. Beat up on pitchers like Patrick Corbin, who leave pitches out over the plate and give up a lot of runs. Go beat up on guys like that. Don't let guys with inflated ERAs have long outings against you. Touch them up, get some runs. Like that Colorado series out of the break when you made a bunch of guys on the Rockies pitching staff look like Cy Young candidates. You can't have more of that. The Giants absolutely need to figure out how to keep this winning stretch going. Not really a streak, but 8-2 over the last 10. You got to find a way to keep doing that. And obviously they're not going to keep that rate through the rest of the season, or at least that would be very unlikely. But they need to definitely be a solid, 10 games over 500 from now until the end of the season if they're going to want to make this playoff stretch. I mean, I can't sit here and think that there's not going to be 1 or 2 teams in this playoff race that heat up. There's definitely going to be a couple of teams that get hot. Look at what the Padres have been doing lately. But the Giants are going to need to heat up as well if they're going to want to separate from the pack and even get back into the middle of the pack, because they're falling behind, man. I mean, they are, I think around 4 games back right now. I don't have it up in front of me, but I do think they're around 4 games back, and you got to just keep winning. You can't really focus on who's in front of you and teams you got to catch and all that. You just got to keep winning and let it work itself out. And if the Giants do that, they should be at least in the mix at the end of the season. this pitching staff should keep them in games as long as, barring any more injuries. The second half of the season has to be better than the first, as far as the injuries go. Or at least we can kind of count on that one, because I don't think we're going to see, like 11 different injuries to starting pitchers in the second half of the season. Let's cross our fingers and hope on that one. But man, the Giants, again, a good game for them, 4-1 win over the Nationals, and they've been rolling. We got to keep it rolling. I just really want to see this team start hitting with runners in scoring position, because this living and dying by the home run isn't going to cut it once you start playing teams like the Brewers in a couple weeks and other good teams like that. I don't think that kind of ball is going to fly against those better teams. That's all the time we got for you guys today. A winding show. We covered a lot of different stuff. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you guys. We'll come to you live tomorrow as the Giants play their second game in the nation's capital against the Washington Nationals. And we'll come to you live right after, as always, on the Locked On Giants postcast. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time. Peace.